Hey, everybody. We are actually live. Happy last Sunday before Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. And welcome to the neighborhood. Merry Christmas to you. And welcome to the neighborhood. And I actually said that twice. And welcome to the neighborhood.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear me too. I said that twice. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Anyway, okay. So, folks, we are live. We is myself, and then I'm taking you down to see the rest of Jessica Dwyer in the the video there. How you doing? And Joseph, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. How are you?
I am outstanding. I'm excited to get on it. As Chris Cuomo would say on CNN, let's get after it. Let's get to it. All of us have seen Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker, and we all have fantastic views. In the interest of fairness, uh, and somewhat something that befits my age, I guess. Jessica, you go first. How'd you like?
Hmm.
That didn't get a rise out of her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can start.
I just called myself an old man. Do you realize that?
I think you
That's
and
a
I are
stretch.
the oldest of the three of us here.
Wait,
So
I think not.
who's who?
I
Oh,
think
really?
I
Oh,
think
thanks.
Oh, wow! Nice. Make him feel loved.
I think Joseph is older than you.
I don't think so, but I turn 45 next year.
Joseph?
Well, today's my birthday, so I am actually 1 year older.
Wait, today's your birthday?
Happy birthday!
Happy
Thank you.
birthday to you. Happy
Happy
birthday to
birthday to
you.
you.
Happy birthday, Joseph Binsman. Happy birthday to you. Welcome, man. That's great. Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so all kidding aside, but Jessica, I think by dint of the fact that she is the VIP in charge of entertainment and horror and everything, and she's, hey, you are, look,
Well,
I pay attention.
now, here's the thing. I have actually met in person J.J. Abrams.
See?
I have a hilarious drunken story about that.
Oh, do tell.
I was at San Diego Comic Con back when Machete, the original, was getting ready to come out,
Ooh.
and I got to go to the Machete party, and it was in this abandoned parking lot where they had set up taco carts and margarita bars. And at that point, I'd had a few of those free margaritas, and I was walking around, and it was odd. It was just such a weird, like, they had a big movie screen set up for that movie, and it was a Robert Rodriguez film, of course. So I'm walking around, and I see this guy with this hair and glasses, and he's wearing a sweater, and I'm like, and I walked over. Finally, I'm like, I'm drunk. I don't care. I walked over to him and I went, "Are you J.J. Abrams?" And he goes, "Yes, I am." And I'm like, "Oh." And so I proceeded to be like, "Oh my God, dude, I didn't know that was you. What are you doing here?" And he goes, "I want to see the movie footage," because they were showing footage of Machete, and he's friends with Robert Rodriguez. So
Ah.
I wound up getting my photo taken with him, meeting his business partner, and then I drunkenly walked back around, found my editor from Horror Hound, and went, "I just talked to J.J. Abrams." He goes, "Where the hell is he?" And I took him over, and he was drunk too, so it was fine. But it was so hilarious because I wasn't sure if it was him, because every dude at Comic Con looks like J.J. Abrams.
That's true.
They all look
Folks,
exactly
if you've never
like
been
him.
to Comic Con in San Diego, she's absolutely right.
But yeah, so he was a real doll and just sweet, and he had his little notebook walking around with him, looking all J.J. Abrams. So, but yeah, so anyway, that's my J.J.
What was he like in person?
Sweet, very quiet, just nice guy. He was just a really nice dude, and his business partner was really great. We were talking about the some projects that they were working on. This was a while ago, so they've already, by that point he'd already done Star Wars or Star Trek, and then he moved on to Star Trek, and then he was doing Star Wars, and at that time he was getting ready to do oh God, the movie with the kids. Basically, it was Stranger Things before Stranger Things.
I know what you're talking about. Kerry Russell?
It was. Hold on.
Was Kerry Russell in it?
Kid movie.
Hmm.
Wait. Dang it. I'm going to look this up. Hold on. Super 8. That was
Super 8. Ah, yes.
Oh, I seen that. That was a good
movie.
Super 8.
Yeah, it was a good movie. And it was Stranger Things before Stranger Things.
Basically. I like Super 8 a lot. I really like. I like.
Now, you know, a little irony about your machete story is, who would have known that Danny Trejo would open his own taco restaurant?
Truth. And I ate there, and their food is amazing.
Oh, hey, wait! Plug the restaurant.
Very expensive.
Plug Trejo's Tacos. But they're super good, like amazing.
Yeah, they are good.
Hey, so, and he has a donut and coffee store too.
Location of it for those of us who'd like to go but haven't been yet.
Los Angeles. He has it. Well, they're in LA.
Address.
Yeah, there's one off. I'll tell you. I know the location. There's one in Old Town Pasadena.
Okay.
And there's also one in North Hollywood, and there's another one on.
That's the one I went to. La Brea,
yeah, there's another one on Pico and Olympic.
Nice.
Yeah, there's one on South La Brea Avenue. That's the one I think I went to.
I'm there because the only thing I know of is Musso and Frank. That's my place.
Oh yeah, no. This
you know what's cool about Trejo's Tacos was the day that I went there, he was there, but so also was the blonde guy from Clerks.
Mewes?
Who's that?
Yeah, Jason Mewes.
Oh, okay.
So, by the way, I'll plug this too. Horror Helm Weekend in March. We're going to have Jason. I think we've already announced this. We're going to basically be having a Clerks reunion at the show.
Oh, nice.
We've already announced Dante. We're having Randall.
So why don't you announce this on Zennie62 separately as well as now? You
got it. But the one that I'm really excited about that I didn't know we were going to get, we're getting the original girl from Let the Right One In that played the vampire. Huh. Which is huge, because I don't know if she's done a show in the States before, but in the original Let the Right One In, she was her name's Lena Leanderson, and she's amazing. That's one of the best vampire movies that has ever in the last 20 years.
Wow.
And we are going to have also Mark Cascos, who was just in John Wick 3, and he was in The Crow, City or Stairway to Heaven, the TV series, Double Dragon, Brotherhood of the Wolf. He's coming as well, so I'm really excited about him coming to the show.
Whoa. So, one more plug before we continue. Doctor Who is coming up. And so if you go to Oakland News Now, you can actually read the promos. Just go to oaklandnewsnow.com and just type Doctor Who, because BBC sends me all the press releases. She's like, not. Why? No Doctor Who?
This is the last Doctor for me.
Why do you dislike the current Doctor?
Because if I wanted a bad David Tennant impression and someone going all the time, I could do that myself.
This sounds.
Speaking of Tennant, what are your guys' thoughts on that 30-minute commercial for Tennant? Of course, it's not 30 minutes.
The one that was
50 minutes long.
The movie?
Well, it was actually a clip. It was a clip from the movie, and they've been doing this now with IMAX releases specifically, because I'm trying to remember what the last one was that did it. It may have been Joker.
Well, you know what? Christopher Nolan tends to do that with all his films. The last Batman movie did the same thing, if you remember.
Yeah, because it's because they're filming them specifically with IMAX cameras, so that's why they really pushed that in the theater to have that long. And I liked it. And what's even crazier, when my husband and I got home, he goes, that really happened, right? In Russia, there was a group took over like a opera playhouse or something like that, locked people in, and the military gassed everybody in there and killed
I think I do remember that. Yeah.
killed a bunch of people
For what?
because Russia, I guess, they don't care. That really happened. That whole scenario really did happen in reality. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, that they killed a bunch of people in this place, and they just didn't care. They wanted to stop the guys that were the terrorists. So
Wow.
that's
Oh
where
my
he got that
lord.
from.
Wow. Okay, I got to see that. It was Tenet. For those of you who are wondering, is the new movie by Christopher Nolan, and the trailer opens up before the rise of Skywalker, to
In
which
IMAX.
and I'm in and IMAX as well. Yeah, but it opened up.
Did you get the whole like 7 minute long thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
At Cinemark 17 theaters here in Fayetteville, Georgia, we got the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah.
the neat thing about seeing a movie here is you might think a movie starts at 6 o'clock, right? But you get there, and it doesn't really start until 6:20, which means you have time to get popcorn.
No, I literally think it was 30 minutes before the movie started.
Yes, it was.
For us. Yeah.
Because if you think about it, the movie was 2 hours and 23 minutes, and then we timed it. By the time we got out, it was about 33 hours.
Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah, it was like 30 minutes of trailers, and the running joke now is there a movie here?
Yeah.
Because it's and I understand now why that lady sued about movie times. There was a lady like a few years ago. It was crazy, but she did it.
Mm-hmm.
She sued over the fact that they said the movie start time was, for example, 7 o'clock, and the movie didn't really actually start until 7:30.
Keep talking. I'm gonna adjust mainly because folks, I'm just doing a little housekeeping in that I'm trying to open a bottle of water here. Okay, but that's it. So there you go.
Yeah, so this lady sued. I can't remember if she sued a theater chain or what, but she sued because of her wasted time having to go by their movie times, and they weren't accurate. They were literally half an hour to 45 minutes off.
Oh my god!
And I'm like,
you know what I think is going to happen moving forward is I think there's going to be a demand that movie theater chains actually post the actual real time.
Yeah, well,
in other words, when the movie reel starts running.
Now, every theater in my town, which I'm really excited about, this is reserved seating, so I can waltz in literally a minute before the start time, but I still have like a block of half an hour before the movie starts now, even because of all the trailers and the stupid Coke ads and the stupid Coca-Cola student film crap that I could just care about less,
I'm going to pull a plug in for my friend Alan Michon's great Grand Lake Theater in Oakland on 3200 Grand Avenue, because he doesn't do that. And you can he doesn't. Yet you can see a Star Wars Rise of Skywalker or any other big budget film. He doesn't do that. To which I ask, how did you like Rise of Skywalker?
Okay, who's starting?
You.
You. Look, I'm gonna bring out my little Valentine's Day Poe and Kylo Ren card. Because Poe has my heart. So
Oscar Isaac. Ex Machina.
My man, aka Poe Damn Son. That's his real name. Poe Damn Son is his name. So, in Rise of Skywalker, I really enjoyed the film. Thinking back on it after the initial like adrenaline rush of seeing it finally and coming down off of it, I did have some issues with certain things, but for the most part, I really liked it. J.J. Abrams pulled a great hat trick with this movie because as much as I loved The Last Jedi and loved specific things about The Last Jedi, I have some problems with The Last Jedi. And because there were certain things where it was almost to me, The Last Jedi will always and forever be one of the best films about finding lost faith ever made. Because Luke Skywalker was that wide-eyed innocent youth who found something to believe in within the Jedi religion and the Force and all of that. Then he lost his way, just like Kylo did, because he had that moment of doubt. And because of that moment of doubt, he felt that he was a failure and couldn't live up to the Jedi. And then he discovered, he found himself doubting the Jedi and feeling disenchanted with it. And then at the end, he realized that kind of it was definitely a metaphor for Christianity in times right now, and how the First Order kind of took a lost soul like Kylo Ren and corrupted him.
Mhm.
Like so he found Ben Solo and corrupted him to this way of being, look, no, we're the real faith, and we're going to help you, and we have a home for you, and you're special. You're special, Kylo. You're special. And it really was a metaphor, and really a well done one, using the whole mythology for that. But the issue I have with the film is it was such a wasted opportunity to tell more of the story of Ben Solo, who was the actual link between all these films and the center of these films in terms of his arc of redemption.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting into spoiler territory here, kids. I don't know if you've seen the film. If you haven't, we can't talk about this and get into the depths that we're going to go, because I know we're going there.
Let's just go there. Let's just do it.
Yeah, so just spoilers. It was a disservice to that character and Adam Driver that we had to rush so quickly in the third film, because JJ had to fix what issues Rian Johnson created with how he did it. We should have had 4 movies.
Yes.
Not 3.
Yeah.
And instead we had to have 3 because trilogy. But what happened with The Last Jedi was there was so much wasted opportunity there, and wasted time on things that we didn't need. Now I get why they did the Canto Blight stuff, and I get the whole Rose Tycho thing, and I get but the problem is what with his need to take on all of these different and this is just me talking. The guys have their own thing, and I'm going to try and wrap this up in like less than a couple minutes here. But but the thing is,
take as much time as you need.
Rian Johnson. You don't want to tell me that because I have a lot to say about this. Rian Johnson's film. He had to do this thing. I don't know if it was pressure he wanted to do it or what, but the whole thing with Poe Dameron, and I love my damn son. They jacked his character up in Last Jedi by making him a complete dick. And because he had to represent that I'm a man and I know better and I'm going to do this, and I'm a man and I got a gun and I'm a man. And because he had to go up against, he had to go up against Holdo and Leia and act like Holdo didn't know shit all that she was doing. And, that they had to have that He-Man versus woman, they had to have that in there. And that was stupid because Poe loved Leia, respected Leia, listened to Leia. Mm-hmm. Leia chose Holdo, so why wouldn't he go along with what Leia went for in terms of that? That made no sense. So you had this whole stupid conflict, wasted time with Poe Dameron being a dick that he wasn't in the other film. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a dick before. Why did he suddenly become a dick now? It made no sense. It was out of character. So now with this film, Poe becomes the leader he was supposed to be in the first place. He's respectful. He cares. He's got a heart. He's got a soul. Oscar Isaac is actually crying in his X-Wing because he thinks he's let everyone down. He's let Leia down. He's let everybody die. And then he isn't. He realized, the whole thing happens and everybody's happy. We win. But that to me was a disservice to that character. Mm-hmm. That was crap. There was the whole thing where you have the entire, and this is where Zennie's going to go. I can see it.
Oh yeah, big time.
Have Rose, Tycho, and Finn, which was pointless because it was pointless, and it was a disservice to Kelly Marie Tran for or Kelly. You have her as this character who, it's weird. She's like tasering people that are trying to escape. You've got her falling in love with Finn. How does she know about him so quickly? And then you have her almost killing him to save him. And that whole scene is just ridiculous because you stole a moment. Finn could have died in that scene in
Yep.
Last Jedi, and it would have been great because his character arc was complete at that point.
No.
It was.
Sorry, it's your platform. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
He went from being a complete coward, because he was trying to run away all the time.
Oh, I still disagree with you, but go ahead. Keep talking.
Okay, tell me he wasn't trying to run away from the he was trying to escape. That's why he got Poe. He was trying to get out of there. He was trying to get away the entire time in The Force Awakens.
No.
He didn't want to fight. They'll go back and watch it.
You're asking me to respond back?
That was his character.
Okay, I'm just waiting, but I just disagree. That's all.
But no, he was a coward at the beginning, but then he found his true guts, and that was the whole thing. Then in Last Jedi, they kind of like ramped that to 11. Like, I want to go fight.
No, a man reaches his true guts when he gets the girl. It's not the fighting; it's the girl.
No.
It's always the woman.
Like
always.
He's saying that he wants to go and battle all of a sudden, and then he's like, no, I'm gonna fight for my friends, and this is what's right, and I'm gonna take out this cannon because I have to save them. This is the rebellion. I'm rebel scum. Like, that's what I am. And that whole happens, but it happens pretty damn quick for him because he was already trying to escape again at the beginning of Last Jedi. He's trying to do it again. That's where she tases him. She's like, he even says it, we're gonna lose.
But the difference between you and I is that you're talking about what they meant, and I'm talking about how they screwed up.
But I'm saying what they
I get where you're coming from, right?
But I'm saying they and then they give him Rose, and Rose kisses him. He gets his kiss. She loves him. And then in the third movie,
I can't wait to tell you what I thought about that.
In the third movie, she's completely pulled away from him. There's no mention of any kind of a relationship there, and he's still pining for Rey, who never has given him any indication they're more than friends. So it's like, I'll tell you what Oscar Isaac wanted, and what John Boyega said. They wanted Poe Finn.
No, they didn't say that. They were told to say that.
No, they've said that, and John Boyega's like, sure.
No, they were told to say that. Okay, so can I break in now?
Yes.
All right, fine.
I'm not done yet, but go for it because I still got more.
It's not a matter that you're right about their interpretation. My point is this: they wrote the whole damn thing wrong. Okay, I don't care what they meant; they were wrong. When look, I have my first exposure to Star Wars was 1975 when my friend, the late Lars Frigman, gave me the book version written by George Lucas and asked me if I knew who Oren Lars was. This went on for a year until he asked me if I knew who Oren Lars was before he gave me the book. Then he gave me the book, and then Bill Boyd, and I, who later started the Star Trek Club at Bret Hart, which also kind of folded in the Star Wars, we all went to see Star Wars. And for me, growing up, and I was born August 4th of 62, hence Zennie62, all right? I grew up with something that a lot of Black folks, even to this day, don't do. They don't adopt an intellectual hero who doesn't look like them. My intellectual heroes were white. And so it was very common for me to glom on the Star Wars, if you will, even though there was nobody Black in the first one, okay? So it was great and this was a conversation. I remember the first newscast I saw after we saw the movie, and people were saying, "Hey, there's no other blacks in it." All right, and there was a big drive, and George Lucas, who lived in the Bay Area at the time, and I give major credit to redeveloping the San Rafael Theater uh, Society and all the buildings in downtown. If you go to downtown San Rafael in California, what is there is a credit to what George Lucas did when he developed Skywalker Ranch and gave money to a lot of people and helped businesses like Sweetwater and Mill Valley. I go on and on and on because it's a personal thing. When you grow up the Bay Area, you meet people like him. I've met him twice. I know his personal assistant. To this day, we're connected on Facebook. Um, Even Steve Jobs, I met in '94 in Berkeley. I can go on and on and on. When you grow up in the Bay Area like that, you have a different feeling. And so you want to feel like the people that you think you know also want to represent you. Billy D. Williams came into the Star Wars universe because of a budding concern that people who look like me were not in it. So fast forward to Finn and John Boyega in episode 7 and how I felt seeing a trailer with someone who looked like me. And even though, look, yeah, I don't, it's one thing to say, yeah, I didn't have to have somebody who was black in a movie to like it. But as society has changed, more people who look like me are in it. And so, like anybody else, you're going to assign a certain attachment based on your own experiences. That's human nature. That's human nature. And so, when I saw him, first person out of it, black guy, sweaty, I thought, yes, that just came out. It was just natural. It was like, yes, okay. And I don't care what anybody says. A man is a man. A man wants a woman. A man is to take charge. That's what men do. Okay. And where we've gone in the society is that people think that's a threat, and they shouldn't, because there are a lot of good people who've done a lot of good things and been that way. Instead, we've gone into this sort of attack, which is absolutely ridiculous and caused a lot of problems that shouldn't be there. Now, at all. Now, they're bad people. You throw them in jail. You deal with it that way. Okay. But to have people turned upside down, have good people, you know, basically put on their heads like that is absolutely ridiculous. And there's been a lot of that going on. So my point is, and a lot of people have suffered. All right. And I'll say this: we have people who grow up, kids who are black, who are male. They don't grow up with great fathers anyway. A lot of them from single parents, and they don't know what it means to be a man. And they're consistent. I don't care what anybody says. They're consistently looking for guidance, looking for it from me because I hear it from them. If I go to an airport, they're telling me how happy they are to see somebody who looks like me on YouTube. These are real things and images. And when someone makes something, whether they want to or not, they have to be responsible for it. Or they're going to call it out one way or another. They can't help it. It's just the way it is. Okay. So when I saw Finn, I was like, yes. When I saw Finn and Harrison Ford essentially counseling him and saying, hey, you know what? Women are like this. Okay. And I laughed because Harrison Ford, yeah, that you want to say he's my generation. You want to call me a boomer? Fine. I don't care. He is my generation. But my generation builds things. We take charge of things. We make sure societies operate, and we correct our mistakes and flaws. Okay. So when I see him counseling Finn, I'm like, he's going to be Finn's dad. That's great. And then Ray and Finn are like boyfriend and girlfriend. And what got it for me, everybody, is if you see them off camera, their chemistry is electric. They are actual true friends. Like on Jimmy Kimmel the other night, Daisy said, I actually brought him this gift. There's 5 times I've counted where they bought each other gifts. This is a real couple. And the PR people, when they initially went out to sell the film, had them as a couple. And then they ripped them apart. And I said, hey, wait a minute. We've got all of these examples of interracial couples. Why do this? And I mean interracial, I mean black male, white female. I have an 85-year-old mother who will tell you right off the bat, without mincing a word, whether or not she thinks people have a problem when they make a film that doesn't go all the way or not. there are a lot of us. If it's when, especially if you get a lot of black folks in a room, you're gonna hear it. Okay. And I'm not the kind of person that says, okay, I have one conversation for my black friends, one conversation for my white friends. Jessica, you're involved in a racial relationship. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I get it. And my thing is, they did do an interracial couple in that film with Finn. It was Rose.
Right. That's my point, though.
And they completely jacked it up.
And my point, though, is they did Rose. They did Rose because they didn't want to see a black guy with a white girl. Okay.
I don't think that was it.
I would bet money it is.
I disagree with you on that.
I'll bet money it is. I bet any money amount I had because it was too abrupt.
I think their whole point with Ray is she didn't really need any man.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
She was self-made.
No, she didn't.
And she was and if you want to flip it on its lid, the whole thing with Ray and Ben was Ray saved him. And
I disagree.
It was a flip.
I disagree. A woman doesn't know who a woman is until she has a man. She hasn't even grown up. I mean, you can't. I'm serious about that. You can't say to Finn, you can't take sex out of this. That's what's this. You cannot take sex out of this.
If you want to, yeah, you can, because the Jedi weren't. They were they were celibate.
Oh, so how come? Why is it that basically Mark Hamill was pining? Every guy that's been a Jedi for Save 2 has pined after a woman to some extent. Okay, so I'm not buying that.
It ended up being his sister.
It doesn't matter. He pined after
her. Wasn't a pine.
It doesn't. Okay, hey, he kissed his sister in the mouth. How come they didn't even have? Hold on a second. They didn't even have Finn kissing Ray in the mouth once. They had an issue with it. Okay. I went through 45. They did. I have 45 years of Star Wars. There's never been a black-white kiss. Not once. They had a problem. I'm sorry. They had a major problem. You see all these films.
Have you talked to George Lucas about that then? Because the first 3 movies were his, and he had Lando.
They didn't kiss. He's never had a black-white kiss in the mouth. Okay? I'm being real with you here. They have never done it. Okay? And you can say what you want. They did it because they felt the audiences didn't want it, and they misread the audience. And everybody I've seen it today, and that's so freaking refreshing about today. People are like, yeah, people want a black male lead. All right, not half-ass. Not half-ass. Okay,
I'm totally down with it, and I think what they did with Finn's character arc was great because he didn't need a chick, and
it's not.
They made him a hero.
That's wrong. You have no idea how many black men today are talking about being emasculated in popular culture. This is a major problem. We talked about it on Oprah. She got after Oprah, but you had black dudes in a town hall crying about it. This is a major issue. This is not funny. Okay, people are tired of this stuff. I'm tired of it.
I get it.
Okay, I've had up to here. I've had up to here.
I've talked to my husband about it, and with Finn's character and with how these specific characters were, the whole point with Ray was she didn't need a guy. She didn't. The whole arc of her character was finding who she really was herself. That was even in Rian Johnson's film.
Regardless of their reasons, it was wrong. I don't care if that was their reason was wrong. They totally misread what people are like, what people are looking for. That's why the movie's crashing like it is. Think about it, okay? If they had the two of them on the arc, like, okay, hey, they get married at the end, or something like that, it would have made more money. It would have been more popular. It would have been a clean story. It would have been cool, and I would have been happy, and I would have been promoting the heck out of it. And I wouldn't have been the only one.
Well, one thing that no one's talking about, I think you have to blame Kathleen Kennedy, because if you remember at the Rian Johnson film, she did a press junket where she was wearing a shirt that said the Force is female or something to that respect. So we have never thought of the Force as being a man or a woman. But I think she has a personal agenda, and I think that made its way into Rian Johnson's film as well as J.J. Abrams, because regardless if they wanted to do their own spin on things, they have to still answer to her.
Well, there's also a couple of things too, and if there's a really great Joe Blow interview or Joe Blow video about this, which is what WTF happened to this movie, and they talk about Solo, and they talk about how that just got the bad thing that happened with, and I think this is part of why even though the Rise of Skywalker is doing gangbusters right now, is the fact that the last two films, Solo, which was a really good movie, I loved Solo. I thought it was great. I thought their representation of Lando was fantastic. I loved everything about it. I thought it was a fun movie, and it was a miracle that movie happened the way it did, because Ron Howard swooped in and was effing Superman. That movie was 70% filmed by these guys that were having people improv on set.
Whoa.
It was insane. Joe Blow it's a great video. It gives you all the detail and the amount of just magic that Ron Howard
tell them who
came
Joe
in
Blow is, by the way, for those who may not know.
Joe Blow is on YouTube. It's a fantastic entertainment channel. Yep. They have a great friend of mine named Jesse Shade, who does a great thing called Awfully Bad Movies. Awfully Good Movies, and they're just fantastic. They do some great stuff, and so there's their thing about Solo. I wasn't aware of how bad it was. I knew how bad he is a director. You're right, J.M. Marks. You're right. He is a goddamn director god. So he comes in.
Wait a minute, John Marks is here. Yeah. Nice. Welcome. Sorry, it made my day. My day's already made.
But he's great. So Solo was 70% done, and that's when Kathleen Kennedy found out there's something going on, because this movie's going over budget, over time. What the shit is going on in the set? And when she got there, she's like, oh my God, they're trying to, I can't remember the description they had, but they were making it a comedy. It was going to be a comedy, and they were making the actors do improvisation on this film, and they didn't know what tone they were doing or nothing. So at that point with the movie, he literally had, I think, 3 months to fix this. He came in with 3 months to go before the film got released. That's why you only got one trailer before the movie came out, and he had to fix it. And he managed to do some reshoots and redo this thing and made it the movie it was, which was great. And that's testament to Donald Glover. That's testament to Woody Harrelson. They even they had to cut oh God, what's his name? He played Chalky White.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so sorry, because I loved him in Happy Leonard. They had to cut his stuff. And he filmed an entire character that was CG, and it was a man lion, and he looked great. Michael Williams, Michael C. Williams, is that his name?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they had to reshoot his character with Paul Bettany, because they couldn't use any of the stuff that they'd done because of how jacked everything was. and so and he did a miracle. But by that point, all the bad press got out about what had happened behind the scenes, and Kathleen Kennedy's focus was over on Solo, and here's Last Jedi going to town, doing its thing, completely redoing the tone and redoing all this stuff, and they couldn't focus on it. So when it came time for Last Jedi to come out, they're like, oh, okay. Well, we're going to defy expectations. So then that came out, and it happened. And that's when the fan turn happened. And that's when poor Rose Tycho got thrown into the fire of everybody hating on her, to the point that she left Twitter, like death threats.
If I can interject, I think
also. And by the way, Joseph, we need to give you time to give your spin.
Joseph, I'm so sorry. Oh, God.
See, if you had Joseph,
you keep going, but what I want
this is why you need a camera.
Was, going back in terms of the tides turning in terms of the audience. If one of the statistics that came out, I guess earlier today, was the first movie made 550 million opening weekend. Last Jedi made 450. This one only made 350.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's
or 345.
It's not. It's not doing as well. Right. Right.
Yeah, the backlash of Last Jedi is still resonating, and so I know we kind of started off going off on a tangent, but maybe just for the audience sake, if all three of us can give a percentage review of what they thought in terms of what they thought of the movie.
Well, I want to know what you thought of the movie, because we've talked a ton, but we're not done. But I want to know what you thought of the movie.
Well, I thought it was a lot better than Last Jedi. I still didn't think it was a great movie, but it was a lot more satisfying. There are tons of holes that I think never got plugged in. Throughout the whole movie, I thought it was a very hodgepodge kind of paint by numbers film. I think they left a lot of gaps and a lot of unanswered questions, at least for me. I jotted down a few notes because I knew we were going to have this discussion. One of the things that bothered me a lot.
Oh my God.
I am prepared. Well, I know how you guys like to talk. So I go, I better write my notes to get my thoughts together, or else I won't get a chance.
You were right. I'm a man to run over you.
Okay, one of the things that bothered me was the fact that he had 1,000 Star Destroyers already built when he himself couldn't put himself together. And the Star Destroyers all had lasers that were capable of destroying planets. That's number one. Also, the other thing that bothered me a lot in this film was the Knights of Ren. There was a great opportunity to fill in the blanks. When we saw Force Awakens, that mysticism of seeing that flash forward or the flashback scene that Rey saw when she touched the lightsaber, that was such a great scene, and they could have built on that. And what we got was the Knights of Ren wandering the desert, not having anything to do. They didn't do anything. There was no point to them. We didn't know who they were. We didn't know what they did. All they did was walk around lost in the desert.
So one thing oh, sorry, go ahead. I was going to piggyback on that comment because that goes into something that I have an issue with. My thing is, and sorry guys, if you haven't seen the movie, we're just spoilers all over this place. Messy. The Knights of Ren fight at the end, to me, was a letdown, because when they showed that big old stadium full of cowled and dark figures, I was like, why aren't these guys jumping in? Aren't these Sith Lords or warriors or something? Who the hell are these people that are all like, sitting there in the dark going, yay, sig heil to the Emperor? Why aren't they jumping down with a metric butt ton of lightsabers and Kylo kicking their asses instead of just these 4 or 5 guys? Why aren't we getting that big battle?
Go ahead.
Well, think about this too, Jessica, is that if you remember in the movie, he made the comment, "I am all Sith." Well, right. let's analyze. I'll follow up. Let's analyze that comment. Now, this weekend, TNT showed the whole trilogy. I mean, the whole 8 episodes, or 7, and Revenge of the Sith. Palpatine tells Anakin that his master was Darth Plagueis, and that he achieved immortality, which was something.
He defeated death. Yeah.
So if that's the case, there is something wrong with this script, having Palpatine say, "I am all Sith," when in fact Darth Plagueis was his master.
Well,
now, what would have been a greater twist is have Darth Plagueis come back.
Well,
because he's the one that achieved immortality, and obviously Palpatine was now taking on that reign.
I think that what we're supposed to have inferred from some of that, and I can't remember if this is in the books or not, is that Palpatine is Darth Plagueis, and that he had Plagueis was kind of like, I know I've heard this mentioned as a theory, but Plagueis, aka a plague, sort of infects and takes over the body of people, and that's how he keeps being immortal. And that's why a lot of people think that Plagueis was actually Palpatine, and that was him just saying, my master, Darth Plagueis, ha ha ha, me,
But then, I agree, but then why not say Darth Plagueis?
Right, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's if how that the bonding works, if he's if you're okay with him taking you over, but you get to keep your family name, because they definitely made a point of saying she's a Palpatine and all of this. And so I'm not sure. There was a lot of people thinking that one of the theories before we got the finalized thing of who little Rey was that she was actually like a clone or some sort of vessel that Palpatine was going to take. But
and you know what that theory came was when she looked in the mirror and saw her multiple reflections in the mirror in Last Jedi, and that's when that theory started to develop.
But then there was also the one that it was about her being a self-made person and it didn't matter, which was way more of a better outcome, I thought, of her just being anybody can be a Jedi. And that was what The Last Jedi was inferring, especially at the end with the little kid that had the force powers and everything, and was looking up and you see the little broomstick look like a lightsaber. That was one of the things of Johnson's that I really, really, really liked was, but then they go and everybody, we're going against expectations here. And then JJ comes in and is like, no, this is something that people are really irritated about. We need an answer on who she is. So we're going to go with the thing that everybody thought in the first place, is that she's Palpatine's daughter or granddaughter, because how many people in these movies have a British accent?
And that's what, you hit upon something that really I found bothersome. And it was set upon by a number of people, including a couple of reviewers, in that The Rise of Skywalker feels like the writers, including JJ, simply read tweets and Reddits and made adjustments as opposed to sticking to canon. Yeah. And I want to thank, by the way, the people who are participating: John Marks, Ryan Abbott, all the norms here, and Chi with another $2 investment. Thank you very much. Now, getting back to my point, the other aspect of this I found really, really annoying is Finn getting these headaches, and then he first says he has to tell something to Rey, and he never gets the chance. I want to see the cutting room floor, because I swear to God, somewhere on the cutting room floor is Finn telling Rey what he has to say, and then he has a force headache. Remember that? It's like, oh my God, he has a vision.
Yeah. So what?
And I'm thinking,
what I think they left out was that he was force sensitive, because he kept telling Jannah, "I have a feeling."
Yeah, but the whole point is, where the fuck did that come from? I mean, it was like, it wasn't in episode 7, it wasn't in episode 8. And then again, this goes with my central assertion that Finn and Rey should be together, because if they have that kind of connection, why not complete the arc? Why not rewire the entire movie, rewrite the whole thing, bring on Han Solo, let him take his place as the fatherly figure instructing Finn. No, I'm not kidding. And so
no, I'm not talking about you. I'm sorry. Cyborg Man just posted something here, and I can't believe if this is true.
Read it, please.
He said, what really annoys me about this movie, the broadcast that Palpatine makes to the galaxy that is mentioned in the opening crawl can only be heard in frickin' Fortnite.
What? Are you kidding?
Oh my God. Seriously? See, I don't play Fortnite. I've avoided that plague.
That is wild. Wait, repeat. Cyborg Man is saying that's right. A plot point in this movie can only be retrieved in Fortnite.
That's crap.
And he says he's not kidding.
He's not.
Holy cow.
They made this big thing about it. Star Wars taking over Fortnite. And I don't play Fortnite. I've managed to avoid it. But yeah, that's insane.
That's wild. Okay, now I gotta play.
Speaking about that broadcast,
Yeah, Joseph.
You know, when you talk about that broadcast, I'd like to interject. This whole movie is supposed to take place in 16 hours. Now, when we're talking about the origin stories in the past, again, in the older prequels, there was talk that it took about a week to get to the unknown regions, and all of a sudden, people are doing it within 16 hours.
Well, it is.
What's that all about?
It is in the future, so they have had the one thing that I really, really thought was cool was at the beginning of this movie was the light speed hopping that Poe was doing with the Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was freaking sweet. Now I'm thinking, and I understand the time frame still doesn't work because of how quickly it all seemed to happen. But
not only that, even if the Millennium Falcon did modification, it's not going to go from a week to 16 hours.
No, it's not. Hey, I want to mention Bruce Wayne has a point. He says, then we hear Palpatine's evil laugh in the background as the camera pans up, implying that he successfully possessed her.
He's talking about like at the end of the movie after she says her last name is Skywalker.
Yeah,
that see her eyes slowly turn yellow.
Yeah,
he's hoping that would have happened.
That's interesting. Now I'm going to get back to Finn because I'm not done. And the thing about it is that this whole deal with him having the Force was completely incomplete. And all our Twitter people were asking, why didn't they complete that scene and why didn't they do that? And I would love to track down Kathleen Kennedy. If Joseph, what you say has an ounce of truth, and find out if she is actually the one responsible for rewiring this whole thing, because it's a big mess that is just dying for somebody to do up a fan company, rewire it, rewrite it, remake it, and then go to the Comic-Con circuit with a whole new fan base movie and then get sued by J.J. Abrams.
See, they used to have Star Wars used to have back when Lucasfilms was by itself and not owned by Disney. They had an entire website dedicated for fan films where people could post them.
Yeah,
and it was fantastic. No pun intended. But the thing that yeah, exactly. The thing that I wanted to bring up too, and I'm curious to see what the other thing that they've done with these last two movies, and not just those, but Rogue One, and even Solo, was the tie-in novels and the novelizations have a lot more meat to them than the films, and they give you more because they want you to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a lot more meat, and one thing that I believe is going to be covered in the novel more is that Lando apparently during the time that between the film the Return of the Jedi and this film at one point had a family.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a wife and kids, and so but what happens, and this is I read an article about this because I don't think the book's actually out yet, is that the First Order attacked their family, and his daughter was taken as a stormtrooper. And at the end of the movie, when he's asking the girl, "Hey, where are you from?" and she tells him, and he goes, "Well, let's find out."
That should be that should be explained, because some people, including myself, took that to mean
he's making a move,
right? Because he's Billy D. Because he's the same guy that was with Diana Ross, right? And it's like, that's how it was presented. And that's what I'm talking about the incompleteness of this and how sloppy it came out in the end, and disappointed people like myself. And look, having said that, I'll say this: I plan to see it again because, taking the Finn issue out of the way for a second. The other problem I had with the Rise of Skywalker was that, and this is a problem I have with the way J.J. Abrams did Star Trek. It's too fast. Everything is fast paced. You don't get the rich scenes. How many people have watched The Mandalorian? I have. You have. Who else? Right?
I have.
All right. The Mandalorian.
Hey, Denny, real quick. Can I take a quick break? They're gonna blow out. I'm gonna blow out some candles. They brought me a cake real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, by the way, guys,
so just give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right,
we have a birthday.
All right, continue. Thank you.
This is a Zennie62 first. We have somebody blowing out their candles while they're doing a live stream, but we can't see it, unfortunately. Joseph, you got to get a camera so we can see. Anyway, okay. My point is that the I just got so excited about the fact that it's his birthday, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, too fast. In The Mandalorian, there are beautifully done scenes that take about 2 minutes longer on the average than Rise of Skywalker. And the famous scene between Darth Vader and with Darth Vader and General Tarkin in the conference room where Vader basically says, "I got tired," and all that was drawn out. Right. All that was drawn out. And by contrast, in The Rise of Skywalker, I don't get scenes that are drawn out.
I truly think, and odd as this is, because there was so much time in between this and Last Jedi, I think that this movie was rushed because they had already had this part of the problem. This is why you're now hearing Kathleen Kennedy say things like, we're not going to do any more trilogies. It's going to be standalones. It's because they effed up the trilogy thing. Because you had they couldn't control their empire is so large that they couldn't keep an eye on all of it, and it screwed them here because Solo went off on the rails. Even though, yeah, it was a train heist. Get it? Ha ha. It went off on the rails because they weren't paying attention to it, and then they had to rush and fix what the Last Jedi got wrong. And because of the Last Jedi's wasted time that they put on so much unnecessary stuff, JJ had to scramble like a lunatic to finish it because they had made it, this is it. It's a trilogy, not a quadrology, because we saw what happened to Aliens with that. We're doing just 3 movies, and they only had enough time to fix what they could, because I honestly wouldn't be surprised if JJ kind of came in I don't think he was going to do this. The rumor was he wasn't going to be doing this film.
Came in. And not only, I think Kelly Marie Tran was put in there because someone said, we can't have Finn with Rey because we don't like this reaction. And so they brought her in specifically for that and made her Asian, okay, her character, as opposed to saying, look, we need an Asian character and let's make this person functional within our story. And move forward like she could be an engineer or anything else. And so by doing that, they put her in a horrible story. They handled it, not just the character, but the PR, the public relations for it. They owe Kelly Marie Tran a huge apology. They owe her money.
What happened at a Celebration, because when she walked out on stage at Celebration, she got this massive amount of applause. But you got to look at too what happened with Ahmed Best. Ahmed Best almost killed himself.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was going to jump off a freaking bridge. Because of Jar Jar. Oh. Go read up.
Oh no, I believe you. I believe you.
And I mean, yeah, Jar Jar was a crap character. I'm not gonna lie, but it wasn't freaking Ahmed Best's fault.
No.
Why do you? And that's what happened. It's horrible. Star Wars fandom and fandom in general is great. I am that's what I've based my career on, is fangirl. I'm a fangirl. I love fandom. Fandom has been there for me when other things have never been.
Mm-hmm. No, but you hit up on something regarding Jar Jar Binks and criticism that came up in that Jar Jar Binks reminded some people of Stepin Fetchit and a number of black stereotypes.
Well, it wasn't just him. It was the Trade Federation was they were like, this is you've made these guys evil, weird Asian aliens that have this, they talk like this.
Right.
And that was a big blowback.
Right.
And that
but the reason why I say that is because I remember when Return to the Jedi came out, and why was it? Texas, Arlington, and I went to see it with Keith Johnson, who's my buddy to this day here in Atlanta, my college roommate, and then Fred Williams and a couple of other people. And Fred's the kind of dude, we're all black, okay? He would just say the one thing.
Is this the Hammer, Fred Williamson?
No, Fred is not the Hammer. Fred is Fred is one of these people that's too smart. He's too smart by half. Okay, and he's done really well as a programmer. He's a brilliant dude. And but he would say these things that I think I've kind of adopted some of that. But he just had this like gigantic intellectual needle, and he would just go blank, and it was like ow. And so we're getting in the car, and we're still of the type where we know it's mostly white production and yada yada, and we love it, and we love Star Wars and all this. And then Fred once said the one thing that was in all of our minds, but we did not say. He said, the Ewoks look like black people. And we just started this most nervous laugh because
I never would have went there with it. No.
We all agree, but it's just my point though. Hey, welcome back,
Welcome
Dorothy.
back.
But my point, that's what we were all saying. And Fred just kind of popped out with it, and I was like, and here's why I said no, because I didn't want to accept what I was being thrown in my face, but I had to acknowledge. And I
never saw them look like black people. Sorry, not my brain.
Yeah, hey, check it out for yourself. Like you say, and I mean, it's like a long time ago, but I'd be delighted to introduce you to a ton of my friends who are black who thought that. And Fred was the first.
I'll tell you the most.
But I want to say this. But my point is this: Star Wars.
I just thought they looked like little teddy bears.
But my point is that that's what he came out and see. Remember, both of you are not black, and so a black person is going to think of something differently. That's the one thing that people have to accept. Everybody has a story, but the Me Too applies in all directions, right? In other words, I have my story and my way of looking at things, and it should never be gaslit for somebody else's. That's the way we come up in society. And when you're on the out group, where you see image after image after image that doesn't look like you're going to form an opinion based on that and judge it. And then when something comes in and even if it looks like you're going to say, gee, I don't like that depiction.
Well, you know what I thought was real blatant was Jar Jar Binks.
Right, that's what I was getting at when you were saying, Joseph. I was explaining to Jessica that most black folks thought that Jar Jar Binks was kind of an insulting black image. And my point is that Star Wars
I thought that myself.
Right.
Obviously.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. My point though is that Star Wars, my overarching point is that Star Wars has this litany of examples where African Americans have not been presented fully in the way that they should be, as opposed to fitting a stereotype. There have been people saying, hey, that Finn was just reduced to this black guy chasing a white girl, didn't want him, excuse me. And I'm thinking, that's what I was pissed off about. I was like, hey, wait a minute. If you're going to put him in as saying Ray, let him get Ray. Don't do that. It's upsetting. It's kind of like, at what point do we have to go? And not only that, the great thing is we have so many movies around today that don't do that, including Tenet, which way doesn't do that. And I'm thinking, thank you, Christopher Nolan, you know?
Well, I was going to say one thing to
Zennie, can I interject real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I could see your point with Ray and Finn, and I think it's highlighted in the fact that they kiboshed it on Force Awakens, that romance, and then to bring it up or allude to it again, that's just putting salt in the wounds.
How so?
Well, because your points are even more highlighted because they had an opportunity to do that in Force Awakens with that initial relation between Finn and Rey, and for whatever reason they didn't go there. But to allude to again in The Rise of Skywalker or have him pining for her, like why bring that up again if you're not going to go through with it?
That's exactly because they did bring it up. Jessica's got to go in 2 minutes. So
yeah, no, but I agree with that. The whole thing, she acted like completely different around Finn.
Right.
And I don't understand that at all. Why have it and then just and they screwed her again? That's what a lot of people are saying.
And I'll tell you why they did that. It fits in with the whole thing about making them all friends. That was a PR thing. Because if you watch them on the circuit, their messaging was completely different. Instead of it being Daisy and John, which it was replete with at first, they did their best to torch that. And and there's a reason that they're not talking about. We should pick this up again because If we lose,
we still have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, if we lose you, we lose our energy. So
the Ewoks are cannibals. I want people to realize the Ewoks are cannibals, not just because they were carrying Han and all of them on spits, but there are empty stormtrooper helmets on spikes all over the Ewok village.
Right.
They ate those stormtroopers.
And that's what Fred said when we were at UTA. He said the same thing. And we had this huge argument. That's why, I mean, I've come a long way since then. It's like, yeah. We'll pick this up again. We'll pick this up again because Jessica will lose you. We'll lose the magic. So.
Oh God, whatever. No, guys, you guys keep talking, but I want to thank everybody for coming on. This is great. I love it when people show up and start commenting. Chai, I got to say one thing really quickly. I completely agree with you. The scene with Ben and Han just killed me. It ripped my heart out in the best way. It was beautiful. They played it so beautifully. How it circled back to the scene on the bridge, and the final line of "I know." God, I was sobbing. I was sobbing, and it was beautiful. It was so deep and gorgeous. And I do have to say too, the stuff with Leia was seamless. They really did a great job.
Yeah, they did.
Utilizing what they did. And God bless you, J.J. Abrams. You made magic, even with all the problems that I had with it. And I haven't even gotten into all of my problems with that yet.
Say Finn.
Yeah, the Rise of Skywalker was fantastic. It was great for and amazing what he managed to do and fix. What he fixed was great. The same with Solo.
Well, what he tried to fix.
What he tried to fix, what he couldn't fix, given the fact that he only had one movie to do it in, and it should have been two. Also give Solo another chance, guys. If you haven't seen it, if you've avoided it because you thought it was going to suck, Solo is fantastic.
Me. I'll see it. Okay,
it was really good, and Lando likes the robots. That's all I'm going to say. He just be prepared for some freaky. There's a reason he likes the Falcon so much. But you think I'm lying? I'm not. But yeah, Ty, thank you so much. You
hey Joseph, stick around. We'll go for a little bit more, and yeah, because I got some. I want to hear. Okay, we'll continue, or we'll carry on.
Happy birthday, man! Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll see you guys later.
Merry Christmas. See ya.
Merry Christmas. Have a great holiday.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you guys again.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, see ya.
Bye-bye.
Right. Okay, so it is now Joseph in there. Joseph, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So anyway, I want to hear more because you've done some research here. How could this whole thing be fixed? And also, I want to make sure that I read the comments of other people, because we've got a lot of we got a good audience here. Hey, everybody. Yeah, we got a good audience here. So, yeah.
Okay.
She says he wanted to see Count Dooku and Darth Maul return, even as Force ghosts, which would have made a lot more sense, because what I didn't understand, this is something else. Where does Ben Solo come off knowing Rey? There's nothing at all to suggest that Rey knows Ben Solo. Kylo Ren is one thing, but not Ben. I didn't. And then she kisses him in the mouth. I'm like, you can kiss this dude in the mouth. He's tried to kill you and do all this stuff, but why? He's a white guy with wavy hair. You can't kiss Finn? I'm sorry. I just didn't like, you know.
This whole movie, there's a lot of things that were shoehorned in that irritated me. I did like it more than like I mentioned before, The Last Jedi, but there's so many things that I can nitpick. I talked to Palpatine. The useless point of Hux. There was an opportunity to make this character a little bit more interesting, and for him to go out the way he did was just to get rid of him and finally, frankly, they didn't know what to write. And they said, well, we'll just shoot him right here. Yeah. That's just one thing. And then one of my favorite characters of all time was Lando. To have him basically do nothing. I'd like seeing him on screen. He had somewhat of an interesting role, but they should have expounded on that role.
It was more like he had him in the background, and it was like what he did in coming to the rescue out of the blue was what Han Solo did in the first Star Wars in coming to Luke Skywalker's rescue with a Millennium Falcon out of the blue with the sun in the background. It was like, hey, it's like yeehaw, you know, and let's come on, kid, let's blow this thing and get out of here, right? Then he goes down the trench and succeeds to destroy the Death Star. Excuse me. That what he did with Lando was to was a reminder, a reflection of that historic scene in movie parlance. All right, that's why. Now, having said that, you're absolutely right. It was almost like he was sitting there as a prop representing the past in a convenient way. You know.
Yeah, I get it.
And by the way, Joseph Binsman says two things. He says, I haven't seen Rise yet, but does the Emperor reveal how he survived in Return of the Jedi? To me, I wish they hadn't. And there's your right. And he says, to me, I wish they hadn't brought him back. And then Joseph Binsman says, I also wish they had done the series without Kylo turning good. Exactly. He said, killing Han should have been his key moment of deciding whether he was good or not. And he was better masked than unmasked. And Golden Arm 17 says, I don't think that Sip can come back as Force Ghost. Interesting point. But the whole thing with Kylo, I'm sorry, I know people don't like this, but I firmly hold that they made Kylo that way just to get a kiss between him and Rey, because people were calling for it on the internet. And I'm thinking, you know, they quite literally warped this story to make a segment of society that's racist happy, as opposed to just carrying it through to its logical conclusion from when it started at episode 7, and then let Finn and Rey take their arc and move forward. But they stopped it. And again, I go back to when they were on a number of talk shows. It was always just John Boyega and Daisy Ridley. And they carried themselves as a couple. And that's how they were promoted, as a couple. They're promoted that way. They had these cutesies. They had these even a little vignettes on social media, everything else, all right? And they just killed that. I mean, they just put the brakes on it like nobody's business. And they didn't have to. And John Boyega was on his way still to being a star. He was in different movies and everything. But they were taking an arc that was truly black male, white female, and as if it didn't matter. And I was thinking, great, that means society has gotten on and moved forward. And the thing about it, again, is there are a number of examples in society today where it doesn't matter. So Star Wars didn't have to do that. They didn't have to change the arc. They could have continued it, and everyone would have been happy.
Well, unfortunately, I think it's a reflection of the time. Think about what's going on in our nation, especially government-wise. You think about the things that are being said and the things that are being done. And unfortunately, that's reflecting even in pop culture.
That's interesting, because for example, we watch commercials here, and there are a number of commercials where there's one with it's a medicine commercial, white fellow waiting on his daughter who's black, and it's not clear until you watch the commercial a bunch of times. Hey, that's his daughter, and it's cute. Okay, there's the couple that is in the bed and breakfast. That he's a black guy, she's white. I mean, these are all over, and there are more of them than not. So my point is, in society today, finally, we've gotten to a point where in pop culture, it really doesn't matter. So Star Wars didn't need to alter its arc to satisfy a racist agenda. It hurt itself in doing so. That's what I'm saying. I
know before.
You guys are great explaining, why things happened and everything. I'm simply saying that after 45 years of Star Wars history, and seeing this rear its head again and again and again, it's like, come on, can we get through one movie where we don't get them trying to warp stuff? I'm sorry. You go ahead. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say you had touched earlier, well, throughout this whole broadcast, was the emasculation of the male characters,
black men,
and if you really think about it, it wasn't just Finn. It was. I mean, I think it was a tremendous disservice to the character of Kylo Ren. Mm-hmm. This guy was supposed to be the next badass. He was supposed to be bigger and better than Darth Vader. And he looked like a wuss.
Yeah, he did.
It was like a wussification.
Yeah, he did. He looked straight up wuss. Straight up. And I thought, remember in episode 7 where Finn was so pissed off with Kylo Ren, he was actually going to take him on?
Right.
And I thought, oh man, this is going to be cool. He's going to take him on again, but he's got the Force. And it would have been so trick to have a scene where instead of Rey pushing him away, Finn discovers he has the Force and is able to push Kylo Ren away. And Rey looks like, oh my God, you have the Force, right? That would have been logical.
Yeah, they did nothing with that.
Right, they did nothing with it. I mean, the point is, it's kind of.
Well, let me ask you this, Zennie. Maybe you know in canon, maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought only the Jedi were able to handle the lightsabers.
They were.
So if that's the case, or someone who was Force sensitive, if that's the case, why wasn't Finn evolved into a character where he wasn't Force sensitive? He was able to handle the lightsaber.
But you remember episode 7, he didn't handle the lightsaber.
No, well, that's my point.
Oh yeah.
That's my point.
Right.
If in canon the Jedi were supposed to be the only ones to be able to handle the lightsaber, then what are you saying about Finn, and why didn't you further develop that?
Right, and see, you have that hanging Chad there. Let's call that hanging Chad, okay? And then you have the other hanging Chad where he says, "Oh, he wants to tell Rey something, but we never hear him telling her what that is." And then when Rey is falling to what appears to be her death, he feels it. So there's 3 separate instances where it's obvious Finn has the characteristics of a Jedi, but they don't allow him to complete the arc of being a Jedi. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't make, and there's no reason for, there's no explanation. I thought, that's why I thought maybe it's going to be a 4th movie, because the Rise of Skywalker, maybe the Rise of Skywalker is more just that. It is the Rise of Skywalker and not the end of Skywalker, right? I mean, John Mark says, I really thought Rey was Luke's daughter, but nope. And she says, nobody can hold a candle to Darth Vader. He sets the bar. His grandson was a wannabe. He should have been a good kid and be like his uncle Luke. Golden Arms 17 says here's where Golden Arms agrees with you. He says all of the male characters have been emasculated. I agree with you. Yeah. But I thought Finn got the worst of it, because
and going back to it, I blame. I hate to say this, but I blame Kathleen Kennedy. She has an agenda. Mm-hmm. Whatever that agenda, whether you rightfully believe in it or not, she has an agenda, and she made sure that it was on screen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's like, let me put it this way: it's obvious an agenda was on screen that took away a black male, white female romance. Okay, that was clear from The Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker. That was absolutely clear. And now as to who did that, I don't know. And you said Kathleen Kennedy, and I would say that makes sense. J.J. Abrams also was a co-writer, though, and I don't. Well, I'm not going to put that on J.J. because as I think about some.
Because you got to think about who writes the check.
Well, yeah, but here's my point, though. I agree with you about who writes the checks, but much of that is, and how much of that is not so much who writes the checks, but who is making the product that thinks the person writing a check is going to be negative and therefore reacts a certain way. And I say that again for this reason. There's so much in society today that is heavily interracial, not just, I mean, all kinds of ways. And it's beautiful to see, you know? So you can't have, that means that somebody else is back there writing checks and saying they love this diversity, right? Because it is the way the world is supposed to be. It is, well, it's the way the world is, period, all right? Chi asks, he says, is anyone disappointed that Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the best Jedis ever, was not in the movie? Yeah, I am. And
his voice was.
His voice was. That's true. His voice was. But it stopped there. I mean, what do you think about that, Joseph?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think if you're going to do fan service and include all these characters, just making a cameo, you know, well, obviously that's the one person that would have solidified this whole thing. When you could put the Ewoks, which was useless in my point of view, why wouldn't you put Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That would have been brilliant. I would have been a lot happier seeing him than seeing those Ewoks, definitely.
Yeah. No, the Ewoks he was. Yeah. Go ahead.
He tied the movie from its origins to the present because he created, or he helped create, with Anakin Skywalker ended up coming full circle. He created a good person, Darth Vader, and at the end, he reverted back to Anakin.
Absolutely.
He was there from the beginning, just as Luke was. And as a mentor, he's the ultimate Jedi.
I mean, here's the other question.
You know, you could say Luke was.
Yeah. But
he was the master. He was Luke's master.
In the final scene, when she gets off of the, you know, that vessel, you know what that's from? That's from the first episode. That's from episode 4, and it was what was the little guys that are the scavengers, and the name just flew right out of my head, but it's their.
You talking about the robot or the actual scavengers?
The scavengers at first.
The Sand People.
The Sand People, right? That ship was the Sand People ship. How did she get the ship, and who was on the sand ship with her? You know,
right?
That was also interesting. And I mean, I have to say, I love that scene. I love that end scene. I don't like, however, this idea of, well, not needing a man or anything else. And the reason why I say that is that there's a picture in society that I believe does not square with reality, because the reality is that, well, you know, men and women get together, fine. But to say something that has to have this agenda that says, okay, I don't need a man or anything else, to me, that's kind of, it's almost retrograde. It's like, we have tons of examples of women in society who are powerful. We get that, we know that. But why tear up an entire great story to make that statement? That doesn't make any sense to me. As if, and not only that, it's also selfish. It's like saying, well, all right, I don't care what the story is. I don't care what anybody else thinks. This is how we're going to rewrite her. And there you deal with it. That's what it feels like. It's like this whole thing's been pushed at me as a person who's been used to strong women in his life. But if you have a story arc that says that this lady is supposed to be with that guy, it would be different if the story started a different way. But it didn't. It didn't. And so anyway, I think I'm going to switch to talk about what I did like about episode 9. And I liked the special effects.
Oh, definitely.
You know, it's kind of interesting that they're so good, we take them almost like drinking water. So we don't even have to, it's not even an issue. It's like, oh yeah, absolutely. But there were so many scenes that were done that like the ships that were just nice and in a way believable, even though as epic in scope as they were. The only scene in the entire movie I thought was not well done was when Rey was floating in air.
Yeah.
That did not look good. It looked like a matte shot. It looked like they had a depth queuing problem. And if there's any shot that robs them of getting the Oscar for special effects, I think it's that one. It was, given the budget for that movie, not something they should have done that way. They should have done it a different way. Now, what do you think?
So, what is? Oh, well, we're talking about the good things. Never mind.
Oh yeah, that's true. I gotta get this in real quick. Cheese says, look at movies from a color purple, Queen and Slim, Harriet. Now this black and white men need to end this. And then talking about the emasculation. And Golden Arms says, when Ray is 35, bitter, single, and complaining that there are no good men left, Finn will have the last laugh. I'm afraid, she'll wind up vaporizing them. It would be like, boy, that'd be something to deal with. Barry Lee is here. How you doing, Barry Lee? Barry Lee says, hey, stranger. Barry Lee, did you see the Rise of Skywalker by chance? And so Legalized Ranch says Quentin. I don't know who Quentin is. Oh, and what are the things did you like about the movie, Joseph?
Well, as you touched on, I think the special effects were outstanding. I think the best part of the movie is John Williams' soundtrack. I mean, that makes the movie what it is. I mean, that soundtrack is going to go down in history. I mean, it really has, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that is an extraordinary soundtrack. That man is a genius.
Yep.
And I like what he did with some of what he added on to what the existing soundtracks occurred with some of the characters in the past, and he actually tweaked it so it fits with the ongoing story. And so one of my favorite things and most enjoyable things was listening to the soundtrack and how he made, you know what, let me put it this way. As much as I thought the movie was a lot of hodgepodge, paint by numbers, and a lot of it was shoehorned in, it would have been a lot worse if it wasn't for the transitional music.
That's a great point.
That music helped push the narrative.
That's a great point. Yeah. Rick Gray says, so hey, let's do this. Since it is NFL Sunday, and I plan to do this anyway, I'm going to stop this, take a small break, and check on my mom, and I'll start the Raider live stream. You want to join in with me on that? I'll call you back.
Yeah, go ahead and call me back.
Okay, you got it. Or better yet, stick around because I'm only going to take a few minutes, but I'm going to shut down this live stream.
No, you want me to hold on?
Yeah. Hey, folks.
Okay.
I'll be back in 5 minutes to talk Raiders and the NFL. One moment, and thank you for joining me, and please subscribe to Zennie62 on YouTube if you haven't done so already. And remember, the Force is with us. All of us.